today's video, I want to talk about what life has been like since I got her home at 6 months old. Now, I've already talked about the first 6 months of her life, so this is sort of 6 months to now, focusing on appointments because she's had a lot of them throughout her life. Now, first I want to focus on cardiology. Obviously, since she has a cardiac condition, she has to see a cardiologist very regularly. Coming home at 6 months old, she was being seen every 2 weeks. It moved up to every 4 weeks and then every 6 months. With her cardiology appointments at the hospital, we'd have house visits from her health visitor and her community nurses. Community nurses would come round and check her oxygen saturation, make sure that everything was okay. And we'd see them at least once a week, and then it went up as she got older until she had her Fontan age 4, and then those appointments stopped. The health visitor was pretty much just your run-of-the-mill health visitor. They just did her weight, her height, and feeding and things like that. She did also see a dietitian. She would help her to make sure that she was actually eating the correct diet, as with her heart condition, things were a little bit different. And milk was prescribed, so it was slightly different too. On top of those appointments, we also had speech and language and physiotherapy. Sadly, due to the fact that Dawn Louise was on so many severe medications and spent so much time in hospital asleep, she was behind on her speech and language and her physical developments. So she also had mental and physical development therapy. This is different to physiotherapy. This focuses more on what she's actually missing and what she should be able to do and isn't. We saw them for a good few years. We have to have TAC meetings. I think these were about every fortnight. TAC stands for Team Around a Child. So this is the appointments where everybody involved in her care, other than her cardiologist at the hospital, would gather together to swap information and make sure everything's on board. We would literally not be able to go a single week without having at least 3 appointments. A lot of our time was spent rushing around. We didn't really get a lot of time at home. Since we spent 6 whole months in hospital, it was really hard to then come home, still not have any actual time together because we're constantly rushing around to see doctors again. So now I would like to talk you through some of the milestones that we've passed over the years, and also some of the more important hospital appointments that we've had. Now, obviously, I don't have a record of every single appointment that she had because she had them almost every week. So these are just going to be a few highlights, just to give you an idea of what the first few years were like. On the 10th of December, Dawn Louise finally set up unaided by herself. This was a huge milestone for her because unfortunately she was behind, like I mentioned earlier. On the 13th of December, just 3 days after she finally sat up for the first time, she was able to be discharged from physiotherapy. 25th of December, we got to celebrate our first Christmas. We're very lucky that we got to spend it at home. I've never spent a Christmas in hospital. Other heart families are not that lucky. Even ones closest to us have spent no Christmases at home so far. Their boy is coming up to 3, I think. So it's a very special thing for us to be able to have big celebrations at home. On the 31st of December, she said mum for the first time. This was a huge moment for me being the mum, but also for her speech and language therapy. On the 8th of January, she was able to take her first step.